Hello, this is Taryn Lupo with LCL Report. I have to make a retraction because I was wrong about something. My source was the Sentinel source that reported that Reporter Sam Dodson was only 116 pounds. When I had read that, I was actually very shocked, and it made me want to do the story because I thought that was a ridiculous and unhealthy weight. Ended up, after I put the story out, people told me it was a typo, that he's actually 160 pounds. So I have to retract that. Now, still, that's a lot of weight to lose, but I don't think that's the type of dangerous weight where you're destroying your kidneys and stuff. So it's still not real healthy, but I don't think he's in life-threatening range like I did when I read that it was 116. Still, you can substitute the numbers, but the whole rest of the situation's a mess. And it still stands true that the guy's in jail for no good reason. And he's being held indefinitely without a trial because he doesn't want to play, heaven forbid he actually exercises his rights that we were told we have. Anyway, the good news is he did eat something finally. I think he just started eating yesterday. I want to take you to Free Talk Live. There was an interview where he actually used his minute to call, his only phone call, to call Free Talk Live, and he'll explain it.
What's happening here? He's now been in there for 5 weeks. Today is the 5th full week. Originally arrested back on April 13th for bringing a video camera and using it in what is supposedly a public court lobby of the Keene District Court here in Keene, New Hampshire. He was arrested, then he was kept because he wouldn't give them his name. He decided to use his so-called right to remain silent and not give up his name to his captors. People calling themselves the state of New Hampshire. And as a result of that, the judge in the case has said that he is ordered to be held indefinitely until he gives his name up. Now, as a most interesting aside, the state people have already discovered what his name is. They've got his fingerprints. They've got his ID. They've managed to...
It's more than interesting. It's extraordinarily relevant.
Yeah.
They already have this information, but they want to break him down and want him to give it to them. They want him to say uncle. They want him to supplicate in order to get out of jail.
To bow down, yes. It's about obedience.
In jail for not doing anything illegal.
That's correct.
Therefore, it is legal, and putting him in jail is illegal.
The entire affair is absolutely, even by their own system, by their own rules, clearly illegal. First Amendment freedom of speech, freedom of the press. He was engaging in his freedom of the press in a public place and was arrested for it and is being held because he engaged in his supposed freedom to remain silent. And he is on the line with us from the Cheshire County Department of Corrections jail in Westmoreland, New Hampshire. Sam, welcome back to Free Talk Live.
Hey, thank you.
Prison guard came in and laid the morning's newspaper upon the tray of food that they had put in front of you today, and that's when you saw that you had finally gotten some mainstream media coverage in the form of the Keene Sentinel, which had mentioned your case in the past, but they had never done a real full article on it. In this case, they had done so, and you decided that was kind of like a good indicator, combined with the chest pain you were feeling, that it was a time to actually start putting some food into your body. And I think that was I feel relieved. I think it was a good move. And of course, the news coverage happened to be great.
The other thing about the article I want to point out real quick, Sam, is that it had a misprint in it on your actual weight.
Big misprint. Yeah, it was you had said 160. He translated that as 116. Your actual weight, I think, is down to 159.
Excellent. So further down in the order, Burke says that the defendant has yet to assert his right to a speedy and public trial, and that Doe may assert his right to a speedy and public trial and move to dismiss and do all these other things. Blatantly untrue, which shows that either the guy's just incompetent or he's not reading the stuff that we're putting before the court, because on April 15th we requested a speedy trial, we requested a probable cause hearing, we waived the arraignment, and we entered a plea. So again, he's just probably not even looking at the paperwork that we're putting in front of the court.
Wow.
He also said that the complaint itself, the reason he denied the resisting arrest demurrer he said on its face, the complaint is sufficient. Now, that's a legal term that's similar to out of hand, meaning the court doesn't even have to look at all of the case law, that the 4 pages of supporting arguments in case law that back up our claim that this complaint is insufficient. He's just looked at the complaint and decided, no, it's okay. So again, it's like the guys in league with the prosecution here.
Wow, what a shock! They all get paid by the same company, don't they? The municipal corporation known as the state of New Hampshire.
Absolutely. So that's the demurrer, and the writ of habeas corpus, which was also another thing that we had going on with the Superior Court. They finally took and released that at 3:50 in the afternoon, 10 minutes before they closed. So they waited until the very last minute. This thing has taken over 9 days for them to get through, and it's supposed to be done in 3. But they sent a question to the jail to say, "Is this true? Is he being held indefinitely?" The jail responded back 3 days later saying, "Yes, it's true." And then they took 3 days to respond and released it at the last minute. And they've denied it and said, normal procedures here. This can't be. I forget exactly because I don't have it in front of me, but it says you can't file the writ of habeas corpus because it has to be done in the course of normal procedures. Meaning I have to enter. It has to be done between like an arraignment and a plea, and because they're holding me indefinitely without trial, I can't file the habeas corpus until I get to that point.
So the writ of habeas corpus, the point of that is for somebody to say, hey, you're holding this guy illegally, let's turn him up and bring him to trial and push this process forward.
But you can only bring it up in trial or prior to trial. They actually have to be moving the process along, but the purpose of the motion is to move the process along.
Right. So they're saying, where we haven't started the process yet, so once we really start the process, that's when you can bring this habeas corpus stuff up.
Yeah, and habeas corpus is basically any citizen can file it if they've seen someone's rights being denied them. So clearly, if I'm being held indefinitely without trial over the court's righteousness, that's my right to a public and speedy trial is being violated. And they're saying, well, no, we don't have to respond to this.
Sitting in a jail cell now for over 5 weeks. You thought that maybe there was a freedom of the press in this country? Perhaps you'd read the First Amendment and actually believed that it was true? Maybe you've heard on all the police television shows where they say you have the right to remain silent over and over and over again. It's been pounded and pounded into your brain, and you may have even come to believe that too. But what if you found out that neither of those claims were true? That they were all just a nice little window dressing, a pair of rose-colored glasses that everyone has been wearing this entire time, and it's only a fraction of the lies that they tell. And these are just 2 issues that Sam has discovered, 2 claims of the government that Sam has discovered that absolutely are false, because it is those 2 things, those 2 provisions in their own laws. Those are the reasons why Sam is in jail. He was put in jail because he was videotaping in a public place. And then he is being kept in that jail cell because he's used his supposed right to remain silent. Now,
So essentially what they're doing is, again, we talked about earlier how the resisting arrest charge is deficient and is not going to stand up to trial or to appeals to the higher courts. It looks like now they're making up a charge because it would look really bad for them if they held somebody in jail for weeks or months, on baseless, trumped-up charges, and then that were all dismissed. So common law, criminal contempt, who knows what it is. They're making up charges to save face here is what it appears.
And isn't criminal contempt, at least from my understanding, isn't that like the one charge that doesn't even exist in the law? It's just kind of a privilege of the court to where there is no real defense to this. You can't get a jury trial for criminal contempt. It's just if the judge decides to slap you with criminal contempt, the men with guns come and they put you in a prison cell. At least that's what happened to me.
That's exactly true. Yeah.
You can catch the whole interview at freetalklive.com. It goes on and it gets crazier and crazier.